Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. This Saturday is UFC 272, and we finally have a new co-main event. We are getting Rafael dos Anjos versus Renato Moicano, and this is going to be my full breakdown and prediction for this lightweight fight. This fight was originally scheduled to be Rafael dos Anjos versus Rafael Fiziev, a fight that I was really looking forward to. Unfortunately, Rafael Fiziev had to pull out of the fight. There was some debate about who may step in to replace Rafael Fiziev. I was really hoping to get RDA versus Islam Makhachev. I really thought that was the fight the UFC should have made, but Renato Moicano volunteers to step up and fight RDA on short notice, and this is going to stay a 5-round co-main event. The original fight between RDA and Rafael Fiziev was supposed to be the main event of a fight night a couple weeks ago, so when it got moved to the pay-per-view, they kept it 5 rounds, and now Moicano is stepping in and is staying 5 rounds, which I think is very relevant to this fight. So if you look at the tail of the tape for this fight, Rafael dos Anjos is ranked number 6. Renato Moicano is not ranked in the lightweight division. RDA is 37. Moicano is 32. RDA is 5'8". Moicano is 5'11". RDA has a 70-inch reach, and Moicano has a 72-inch reach. So if you look at Renato Moicano's resume, I was looking through it, and there's really a common theme with his resume. Every time he gets a step up in competition, he ends up losing. He fought Brian Ortega back in 2017. He lost via submission. I would say the best win on his resume, he has a couple decent wins. He defeated Jeremy Stephens by split decision back in 2017, and he has a unanimous decision win over Calvin Kattar back in 2018, which is a decent win. But it seems like every time he gets a big step up in competition, he loses. He lost to Brian Ortega. He fought Jose Aldo back in 2019, lost to Jose Aldo and got brutally TKO'd. He fought Chan Sung Jung back in 2019 as well, got TKO'd. Then he fought Rafael Fiziev, who was kind of an up-and-comer at this point in time. This was in December of 2020, and in this fight, Rafael Fiziev proved what a lot of people thought, that he would be an interesting contender within the lightweight division, because he absolutely brutalized Renato Moicano and finished him early in the first round, I believe it was. Then since that fight, he's gone on a 2-fight win streak. He submitted Jai Herbert, and then most recently, not that long ago, February 12th of this year, he fought Alexander Hernandez and defeated him via rear naked choke. And in this fight, I really thought Moicano did very, very well in this fight. Alexander Hernandez was in the fight. He was chopping the legs. But eventually in the second round, and Moicano tend to just try to grapple him, take him down, push him against the fence. But Moicano was landing on the feet as well, and he hurt him badly in the second round. And then eventually Alexander Hernandez shot on a desperation takedown, got reversed, and then Moicano immediately started looking for that rear naked choke. Got the rear naked choke, submitted him. It was a great win. Alex Hernandez is one of those fringe guys who a lot of people thought he would make his way to like contender status, maybe crack that top 15, but he's never really been able to make it. But he's a decent fighter, and it was a good win for Renato Moicano. But again, you look at every time he had to step up in competition, Brian Ortega, Jose Aldo, Chan Sung Jung, Rafael Fiziev, really, I don't know if that you consider that a step up in competition just because of where Fiziev was at his point in his career at that point. But either way, he's lost to everyone that I would really consider elite, outside of Kattar back in 2018 and Jeremy Stephens back in 2017. But we've seen where Jeremy Stephens went since then. The winner over Calvin Kattar has aged very well. But obviously, Moicano used to fight at featherweight. He's moved up to lightweight, and he's had some decent success. He's won 3 out of 4 since moving to lightweight. His only loss at lightweight is to Rafael Fiziev. And one other thing I want to mention is, in his 21 MMA fights, he has 0 wins by knockout. He has 9 wins by submission, and he has 7 wins by decision. So that's insane to me. The other 4 are losses, obviously. So if you look at Rafael dos Anjos' resume, and I really want to talk about this because I did an original prediction video for RDA versus Fiziev. It's private on the channel now for members only to watch. I figured it wasn't relevant, so why even keep it out? But I talked about Rafael dos Anjos' resume. He has one of the craziest resumes I've ever seen. The strength of schedule, the number of elite fighters that he has fought over the course of his long UFC career is just insane to me. He's been fighting in the UFC since before I was even a UFC fan. He's been fighting in the UFC. He made his UFC debut back in November of 2008. I started watching MMA in about early 2010, late 2010, somewhere around there. So he's been fighting for 2 years in the UFC since before I was even a fan. And that's just insane. 2008. And Rafael dos Anjos has been fighting in MMA since 2004. That is insane to me. And just to name some of the names on his resume, I'm not saying he won all these fights. You have Jeremy Stevens. You have Tyson Griffin. You have Terry Edom. That's not that great. Clay Guida, Gleison Tebow, Anthony Njokuani, Mark Boach, Evan Dunham, Donald Cerrone in his prime, Khabib Nurmagomedov. I will never forget when RDA was scheduled to go against Khabib Nurmagomedov. A lot of people were high on both those guys, and it was on the prelims. It was on the prelims. We got Rafael dos Anjos versus Khabib Nurmagomedov on the prelims. RDA showed some of his weaknesses in that fight, his ability to be controlled against high-level grapplers. Just to name some more names, Benson Henderson. He KO'd Benson Henderson. He defeated Nate Diaz, defeated Anthony Pettis to win the lightweight title. And at this point in time, people considered Anthony Pettis an absolute world beater. He looked unbeatable at the point in time, and RDA went out there, and I think he was a massive underdog, if I remember correctly, and went out there and dominated Anthony Pettis and won a decision. That was back in March of 2015. Then he defended once against Donald Cerrone before losing to Eddie Alvarez, then losing to Tony Ferguson. Then he decided to move up to welterweight. But look at these names that he's losing to, and just in general, look at the names on his resume. It's insane. He fought Tarek Saffiedine, who I know he's not in the UFC anymore. He came over from Strikeforce, was very, very good. Then he beat Neil Magny. He beat Robbie Lawler. After he beat Robbie Lawler, he got a shot at the interim welterweight title against Colby Covington. He lost to Colby Covington. Then he lost to Kamaru Usman. Then he got a win over Kevin Lee. Then he has a loss to Leon Edwards, a loss to Michael Chiesa. And then he moved back down to lightweight, and he got a short notice fight against Paul Felder. I forgot who RDA's original opponent was there, but Paul Felder steps in on short notice. It's a split decision, but it should have been a unanimous decision win for RDA. So look at some of those names, and I know a lot of people like to write off RDA, but look at his losses up at welterweight. Michael Chiesa, Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington. I mean, all the elite of the elite. RDA, does not get enough respect for being an absolute badass. This guy will take any fight at any point in time. The guy does not care how tough the competition is. He doesn't care what the circumstances is. Look at him. He was willing to let Islam Makhachev step in on short notice. Islam Makhachev is in shape. He just fought Bobby Green last week. RDA was willing to let him step in and face him at UFC 272 in a 5-round fight, and even willing to go up to 170. It's just insane, and I feel like a lot of people really need to respect RDA because there's not a lot of fighters built like him nowadays who are just willing to take on anyone, no matter how it may impact their career or not the best circumstances to take the fight. RDA is an absolute savage, and he needs our respect. Now, when I look at this fight, Renato Moicano versus RDA, I see a fight that should be very interesting early on. I'm a little bit, worrisome about Renato Moicano's cardio. And when I look at this fight and you see Renato Moicano stepping in on short notice for a 5-round fight against what I consider an elite lightweight in Rafael dos Anjos, I think that's a very tough ask for Renato Moicano. You got to respect him for stepping up. And I know there's an X factor. RDA has not fought since November of 2020. That was his last fight against Paul Felder. So he's been out for well over a year. But I just don't see how Renato Moicano gets this done. I am going to take Rafael dos Anjos by 4th round TKO. I just don't think Moicano is going to be in shape for a 5-round fight. Even though he just fought Alexander Hernandez, he was training for a 3-round fight there. I don't think he's going to be in shape for 5 rounds. We know Rafael dos Anjos has 5-round cardio. He's gone 5 rounds with Colby Covington. He's gone 5 rounds with Kamaru Usman. He's gone 5 rounds with Anthony Pettis years ago. He's gone 5 rounds a million times. And I just really believe that Rafael dos Anjos is so well-rounded and so good. And a lot of people are dancing on his grave at this point in time. But look at the level of competition that he's losing to. He's lost to the best of the best at welterweight. I still think RDA can have a successful run at lightweight. I know he's getting up there in age, so it's really now or never. But I just don't see Moicano coming in there and outstriking RDA. Moicano is more of a guy, and I know he's been successful at 155, but he's more of a guy that wants to come in, kind of grapple you, push you against the fence, take you down, hold you down, and eventually find a submission. Moicano is not going to knock out RDA, and I don't think Moicano is going to submit RDA. I think RDA has a good enough defensive jiu-jitsu where if he gets taken down, I don't see Moicano submitting him. And I could even see RDA out-grappling Moicano, taking him down and controlling him on the ground and being able to avoid the submission of Moicano. And I think really a scramble submission attempt from Moicano is his really only path to victory. I think RDA can finish him via TKO or KO. I think RDA could possibly submit him. I don't think that's super likely. And I think RDA could win via decision. I think RDA is just better everywhere. I think RDA has the better striking. I think RDA has the better cardio. I think RDA has the better wrestling. And I know RDA has shown a weakness in his game of being able to be taken down, being able to be pushed against the fence and controlled. But that's not against guys the size of Moicano. And I know Moicano isn't a small lightweight, but he's a former featherweight. And the guys that were bullying RDA, Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, Michael Chiesa, Leon Edwards, guys like that, that's not going to be the same size difference in an RDA versus Moicano fight. And I just think as the fight goes on, I think RDA is going to mix in everything. I think he's going to be landing on the feet. I think Moicano is going to have his moments early. I think it's going to be a very competitive fight early. But I think RDA is going to mix in the grappling. I think he's going to push Moicano against the fence. I think he's going to be using his dirty boxing against Moicano. And I just think that he's going to be chopping the legs of Moicano. I think he's going to be using a variety of strikes throughout the fight. I think Moicano is going to land some shots of his own. But I think RDA is the better striker. I think RDA is the bigger, stronger guy. I think he's the better grappler. I think if I had to give one edge to Moicano, the submission threat of Moicano, you know, he's just known for grabbing up submissions. But I just don't think that it's going to happen to Rafael dos Anjos. And Rafael dos Anjos' entire MMA career, he's been submitted one time. It's not going to happen. So if Moicano wants to win this fight, I believe he's going to have to win this fight by decision, and I don't see that happening. I'm going with RDA, 4th round TKO. I just think as the fight wears on and the accumulated damage of RDA adds up, I think he's going to be busting up the legs. I think he's going to be landing with the punches. I think he's going to be using the grappling to kind of wear on Moicano, press him up against the fence, and I think eventually he will clip him, maybe drop him, and eventually TKO him with ground and pound. I just think RDA is too good. And I know, you know, Rafael Fiziev was a young up-and-comer with great striking, and, you know, I could see a pick for Rafael Fiziev outstriking RDA. Moicano is not going to outstrike RDA unless RDA has absolutely fallen off a cliff. I just don't think that's happening. Maybe Moicano has a slight speed advantage, but I think RDA is coming in this fight in better shape. That speed advantage is eventually not really going to matter as the fight goes later and Moicano starts to get tired. And I don't think it's going to be a significant speed advantage earlier. So I'm going RDA. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who's going to win this fight? Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, and I will see you in the next video.